Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is December 8th, 2015, and today is Tuesday morning. So looking at the economic calendar today, we've got three major numbers coming out. One coming out of the Great Britain pound, that's at 11:30 this morning. That's a PMI manufacturing number coming out, and then two numbers coming out from Canada, one at 3:30 South African time, and that is a building permits number that's coming out. And then at 7:50 this evening, we have Governor Polos will be speaking, who's the chairman of the Board of Governors in Canada, who's the Central Bank of Canada's governor. So it could be kind of interesting, especially since the Canadian dollars has depreciated quite sharply over the past year, going from almost par to the US dollar to 130. So what would have cost you $1 to buy the same US dollar as a Canadian dollar, today if you were to sell your USD, you would get much more for it. You would get $1.30 Canadian dollars as opposed to $1. So that's a major depreciation for the Canadian dollar if you think about it. So if you transfer from Canadian dollars back to USD, obviously you'll have less US dollars. And since the major currency, as you all know, in the world is the United States, it puts Canada in a tremendous disadvantage. So kind of interesting to see what he has to add. So if you do have time this evening to see what's going on, maybe some volatility. We'll look at the Canadian dollar a little bit later. But what jumps at me right now is the Dow Jones. Okay, we've said this before. Dow Jones has been in major play over the past year, especially over the past 5 months, I would say, since August, after selling off after the Chinese scare, and then rallying right back. And now we find ourselves again tanking and then rallying and then tanking again. So this is just a graph from last week. We went from 17,862 down to 17,460, even a little bit less during intraday. And then we kind of leveled off. And then on Friday, non-farm payroll came out. Incidentally, with this red that you see here has the inverse relationship with the Euro USD. So if we look at the Euro USD during that same time, you see this colossal move. So where the Dow Jones went down, the Euro went up. So that's important to realize, that there's a inverse relationship between the Dow Jones and the Euro, and sometimes they do trade in tandem. So importantly to remember that. We sold off, this was Draghi speaking last Thursday, and then non-farm payroll came out on Friday, and we beat estimates and we rallied hard, as you could see here. And then we came to this resistance level at 17,850, and we didn't break higher. We just sold off on Monday, and surely enough, once we broke 17,800, we sold off quite sharply to 17,600-ish level. So right now we're at 17,685. So we're at this bottom of this range. Question is where we're going to go from here. So this is the past, I would say, 3 months, October, November, December, of what's been trading in the markets here. And as you can see, it's been quite a trade. I mean, even if we go into a daily chart, you know, this is even more colossal. I mean, since August, we've had this really crazy move. So I don't anticipate that we're not going to continue having these crazy moves. Just the question is which direction. Today we could rally back to 17,800, or we could sell off a little bit further. So ultimately what I'm saying is that it's a scalper's market, and there's a lot of volatility, and you should be careful once you jump into a position to book your profits quickly, because these things could turn around. Unless you see that there is some directional trend. For example, if we break this 17,685 and we continue selling off, then maybe our next target would be 17,495, and you could hold a little bit longer. But as you can see, it's been very, very volatile. And as we enter the end of the year, companies are coming out with their last earnings and want to show a banner year, especially year to year. This is when these stocks are rated. So it could be kind of interesting how we end off. Looking at oil here, as we mentioned before, oil was selling off below $40 earlier this week, and I kept on saying it's a downwards trend. It's really dead. It's really dead. And sure enough, it's at $37.66. And what concerns me a little bit more, if you look at the candle here, the shape of the candle, it's a full candle, whereas this previously was a wick. So I'm more inclined to think that there's real selling as we're closing on our lows, as opposed to here where we sold off but we closed on our highs. So I'm more inclined to think maybe we could even earn $30 a barrel by the end of the year, by March, seeing how this is really the peak season for consumption of oil. Now, if you look at airline tickets, they're going down, they're not going up. So, and the major cost for airlines, of course, is the price of oil to consume for their fleet of airlines. So ultimately, I don't see this jumping up. Okay, I do see that we continue to sell off, and those people that are long, just be careful because we're really flirting with the bottom of the range here, and it's really very, very scary. So just scary in the sense that it's if you are long, then just make sure that you're taking precautions not to double down and put yourself in a position where you're going to not be able to recover. So that's in terms of oil. Looking at the USD CAD, I just mentioned before, we're at 135, so we're at really all-time highs for the CAD. I mean, this is a monthly chart for the CAD, and we haven't been at these levels, look, since 2002. So, this is really very important to hear what he has to say today. And this is just from a year ago. We were trading at 109, and previous to that, we were trading at 98. So we were almost at par just about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and now we're at 135. So it's tremendous depreciation for the USD CAD. So I'd keep an eye on it, see what happens today. Looking at gold, not much to write home about. After this big rally, we came back down to $73. $1,073. So we're trading somewhere in the middle. Also, scalpers market, I would really say. I wouldn't say it's a tremendous sell-off anytime soon. Looking at the GBP, Japanese yen, we sold off a little bit after we hit this support at 84, and we're trading somewhere in the middle at 85. So it's also choppy trading, but I would still keep an eye on it to see how it develops and see if it's going to continue trading within this range. And as such, you can really take advantage of it and buying the bottom of the buying the bottom of the range and selling the top of the range. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. I want to wish you guys a great trading day.